Right, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. I am Gabriel, or however you want to pronounce it. I will be speaking today about how I broke into the industry, or as the fancy title says, how I hacked into it. This is a quick agenda of what can you expect for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Since this is my best attempt to entertain you without getting technical, I will be mostly telling my story and speaking about my experience to lead with the example and show you change is always possible if you find the right motivation. Let's get started, shall we? Who am I and why am I giving you this talk? Well, my accent comes from a tiny region in the north of Spain with very similar weather to the one present here in Scotland. And I am already in my 30s. I'm happily married to a chef, and we chose Edinburgh when we decided to move to the UK. I love languages as much as I love talking with people and hearing their stories. I always hated language barriers, so I've tried during all my adult life to demolish them. That's when I started with the self-teaching habit. I am a proud dad of the beautiful kid you see in the picture with me, and I also have two stepdaughters who are the world to me. And although it's become a controversial concept of late, I like to think I am the role model of what a people person would look like. I'm approachable, I have an amazing relationship with all my neighbors, and I always try to put a smile in everybody around me. It's a free gesture and very rewarding indeed. Now, to better understand my story, you need to know a bit about my previous lifestyle. A life I like to say it was full of people. I never hacked anything before I was 28. I admit it, hands down. Although I always loved to fiddle around with devices, never I did in a deeply technical level. I was afraid of breaking things, and money has always been a scarce resource in my picture. I come from a very humble background, so that also meant I never really stood a chance of going to university. The only thing I knew from a very young age was working hard to help my mom with the rent. Therefore, I have no degrees and hold no fancy certs yet, which will make sense later when I talk about imposter syndrome. Who was I then if I had never hacked anything before? Yes, you guessed it. I was working in the hospitality industry. I have to say, I was lucky because I went all the way up from housekeeping to managing director of a restaurant in Mallorca for 5 years. And so I picked up a lot of soft skills in my way here. Thanks to that, and not counting the regional dialects, I can mumble in 9 languages. If you ask me, I can only confidently speaking too. The one you hear the now and the one to blame for having this funny accent. English was interestingly the last language I learned. I only knew the basics from school when I arrived in the UK. And when we moved up here 3 years ago, at first I couldn't even understand people without asking, sorry, what? At least 3, 4, 5 times. And I had to pull Google Translate way too often until the words started settling in my mind. In hindsight, what an adventure. Oh my gosh. I'm very grateful to all the people being patient with me. Right, so tell us already when you started in cyber, Gabriel. Okay. I studied for a very intense year and a half. I was working full-time every day. That made me being extra conscious of time constraints, and it helped me develop a carefully traced study roadmap. I literally had no time to lose. After a lot of discomfort and hard work, I landed my first job in cyber earlier last year at 29 years old as junior penetration tester with NCC Group. I know. Some of you might be wondering, wait, but Gabriel, you've just told us, mate, you had never hacked anything before. How come in 1 year plus you landed a pen testing job? Are you sure? Bear with me. Thankfully, in life, not everything is based on having technical knowledge about something. Unfortunately, though, this is something not obvious at start, and I myself needed somebody to tell me in the first place. So I will give back by telling you next what happened to me while working in hospitality, so I could start off with my schema. I always praised myself of being a person of strong moral ethics, so I wanted to join the National Police Force in Spain and fight the bad guys. After 3 years of preparation, I got dropped out from the selection after passing all the tests, but the medical one. just because I can't see a full pattern of colors if they are together. To this day, I fail to fully understand why of that requirement. Anyway, I got so mad at the system, I just wanted to move away. At that point, my thought process was like this. If I became police officer in Spain, which is a 10-year job, I will have always been tied to living there. So why stay in now that nothing will retain us here? The world is so big. So my wife and me decided to just move up here to give our parents the chance of becoming native English speakers. And if you remember from earlier, I'm a strong believer of languages being a vital thing for people to learn, especially kids. The more, the better. We had visited the UK in our honeymoon, and we fell in love with the scenery, the people, the culture. So we thought, what the heck? We simply left everything behind, the adventure of our lives. 3 years later, we are still here. We are not moving away anytime soon. And we have never felt before so loved and valued. But hey, I have a big problem now. What do I do with all the legal jargon I learned to be a police officer? While researching about what to do with my life, I remembered I had always fallen in love with computers, and my life had always been surrounded by devices. I was also spending a great deal of time in PC gaming, you know, those days are over though. And my favorite childhood movies had actual hackers as main characters. Maybe a career in cybersecurity would work for me. So it all clicked together when I met a social engineer when I was working night shift at a hotel. He was staying for the night, and he also was a night owl, and I had already done all my duties. So he spent a big part of the night explaining me in detail what a real-life ethical hacker was. And I said, well, that really sounds amazing. I would love to do that for a living myself. He told me there was a huge skill gap in the sector, and I should totally go for it. Suggested me to watch Mr. Robot, listen to podcasts like The Darknet Diaries, play CTFs, and I soon immersed myself in the world of cybersecurity. I strive to become that random person who is kind and knowledgeable enough to be a force for good and change somebody's life as he altruistically did for me. Shame I won't be able to know who he was. I hope he joins one of my talks and realizes what a good deed he made in me. I slowly realized it could actually be a viable career change, and I had learned enough English to try and front written tests after 6 months fighting with the language fiercely. Then I had a choice to make. Either stay in my comfort zone in a life full of people, or pursuing a dream and go down the rabbit hole. I am a person of adventure and self-improvement, so why not? If I have come so far from home to give my family a better future, why just stopping there at minimum wage? I elaborated a plan and cold turkey stopped any other activity that will get in my way, like gaming, because I will need every hour in the day to catch up with 28 years of non-tech savvy life. So here is my detailed path to industry. In December 2019, I saw the opening of a fast-paced 6 months course in Edinburgh College at level 6 about cybersecurity and digital forensics, and ferociously applied for it. I quit my job, open to businesses. In one activity, I will spend my day troubleshooting other people's devices and thus gain confidence and experience within an IT role. And the other one was a necessary evil. If I had no customers that day, which will most likely happen, I will go out and deliver food for any of the food delivery apps that you guys have in your phones. This way I became self-reliant and I could manage the day on my own terms. Then, to start with a boost, I will clear all the levels of bandit from over the wire, which is like a CTF, but no time limit. Technically, it's called a war game, and that got me a good grasp at shell foo, even before the course started. The real grinding started in January 2020. I had to adapt to a new reality. Get up, commute 55 minutes to college, attend lectures, go working after that, come back home at 10 p.m., and then do hacking labs until 12:01, sleep, repeat. On weekends, I will work the double just to make sure I could still maintain the in-week schedule. After attending a careers day talk in college, a talk, by the way, that inspired the one that you guys are hearing right now, I got pointed at hacking conferences. The first one I ever attended was the Glasgow DEF CON. It was about a blind skill injection by Paul Ritchie, and quite honestly, it blew my mind up. If I was to follow this path, I needed to understand all those new concepts better. So I kept pushing harder and decided to learn about web app hacking. I cleared the lab NATAs, also from over the wire. Then in March 2020, everything started to crumble. The pandemic hit hard, everything goes south, and now everybody's panicking. All those of you doing deliveries know what I'm talking about. There was a massive influx of riders and drivers doing the same job. So I needed to start working more hours to earn the same money. That meant I had to stay up later if I wanted to study. And remember, I have a wee at home. So if he's awake, I can't study because I'm first that than anything else. Then in June 2020, I achieved my first milestone. I finished level 6 and I wanted more. My networking lecturer at the time at Edinburgh College, Piotr, made me develop a weird interest for the OSI model. So I applied for level 7 to see what was in store, meaning it will be equivalent to first year of university. Me in uni, that's crazy. So in July and August, with more time to work, now that we were on holidays from college, I managed to learn how to be at the same time that and student continuously throughout the day. I started reading and taking notes of job adverts to know what was asked for. So I started seeing a recurring pattern. Programming was beneficial, and I always wanted to learn that cool skill. So I stopped doing hacking labs for one whole month and focused all my allocated studying time in meeting a deadline that I set myself before starting first year to learn Python at an acceptable level. I confirm it's amazing being able to craft your own tools. Then the real fun begins. With my incoming associate student status in Napier, I decided to go ahead and join NUSEC, the hacking society at the uni. Thanks to these guys' guidance, I thoroughly participated in Fresher CTF, in which I got the 4th position overall, and that opened yet a new whole world to me, the world of CTFs. Again, I didn't think until that very moment I was ever prepared for competitions. So from then on, I started playing weekly, and it yet pushed my limits again to the next level. Then I saw a lot of guys will do write-ups, so I decided to go ahead and create a personal brand, my own website dedicated to journaling my cyber adventure. Hold on, the problem I faced was I had no idea how to code a website. So I once again set myself a new challenge. I set a deadline in December 2020. I need to have my website up and running before going back from the Christmas holidays. So I can start giving back to the community. Then after New Year, my next challenge, I thought, should be expanding my leadership skills. I was manager before, but how was it in the IT world? Since I was then in a better position, although still a noob, I tried to persuade and motivate new guys to participate in CTFs alongside with me. And it helped me overcoming my imposter syndrome and started applying for jobs. Just like that. Remember, I was doing food deliveries and it was increasingly bad, really bad days. So I started applying to cyber jobs, and I will have never been able to do it without the trust and kindness my friends at NUSEC put in me. Spoiler alert, one of the first jobs I applied for was actually the one I have today. Then in February, playing a CTF, I see a member of my team using Golang, and I thought, wow, that's also a nice skill to have. And I started learning it so I could write a cheat sheet out of it, now having the community in mind. I managed to release it in April. You can find it in my GitHub should you be interested in it. But before releasing the Golang cheat sheet, 2 months after sending the application, NCC Group surprisingly contacted me about the application I made back in January. I didn't expect it at all. Other companies got interested in me though. By that time, I was preparing for 3 different interviews and had passed to the 2nd stage of a renowned company. But NCC was telling me they offered me entering a graduate scheme in which they will train me up and put my skills into the next level, regardless of my background. What? If I had what it takes to pass the interview, of course. This sounded too good to be true. So I spent the 2 weeks that they gave me until the date that we agreed upon to be interviewed and smashed through all the materials I could find related to the job description. I mean, power through, immersive labs, try hack me, hack the box, fun hub. They were the 2 more intense weeks I've ever had in my career. I barely slept trying to increase my chances as much as I could. And just a couple of days after the interview, my dream comes true. NCC Group offers me the job opportunity of my life in the area I was passionate about. I couldn't believe I was going to stop sacrificing myself the way I was doing it. Since, I had expected to be on the same path for 3 more years until I got at least a degree. I cried to a talent attraction specialist over the phone. My wife cried when I told her. I kept crying when I was accepting the terms of employment in little tears of joy and relief. Hell, even today, I get emotional thinking of it. Okay, so what does my life look like now that I'm a junior consultant at NCC? For the first 6 months, I was completing what is called a Next Generation Talent Program, aka grad scheme. It's like gathering all the free and paid resources you have on the internet about ethical hacking, leaving out always low quality stuff, and ordering it in weekly topics that you must complete. In the process, I asked a lot of questions to a varied range of senior colleagues that are really helping me. Special shout out, by the way, to my mentor and manager. They are really patient and empathetic with me. I am also in contact with other juniors, so we go through the labs together, helping each other. Then, schedule providing, I spend time shadowing senior members, and I learn even more watching them working and asking questions live and taking a lot of noise and being annoying. If I'm not shadowing, I can't go into much detail for obvious reasons, but I can say that I'm doing things like pen testing labs, checking compliance issues, learning about exploits, web app hacking, or even digital forensics and incident response. We also have to write thorough reports to sharpen our writing skills. Given the time, we will need to give the customers a good impression and the quality levels they deserve and pay for. So our seniors provide us with feedback so that we can learn from their experience. And trust me, in barely 6 months, all my skills have gotten to a level that I never, for the life of me, suspected they will be anytime soon, having in mind I could barely speak English 2.5 years ago. Then from time to time, we attend internal courses delivered by amazing people in the same variety of topics that we're touching every day, all to get us ready for being valuable members of the team. Now, that's what I say sound attractive to you. Okay, here are some tips and tricks so you can follow a similar path. Get the basics right. Then sooner or later, you must put your skills to a test. Try playing war games, CTFs, or participating in bug bounties. They really make you go out of your comfort zone. And that's very good because you will need to adapt and learn if you are to find that hidden flag you desperately needs to go up the scoreboard, or if you could use the money from the bounty. Bear in mind though, if you see you're getting stuck, don't panic and don't be afraid of going back and review again the basics. It's very important to nail them. Try to attend every security conference you can, like you're doing right now. But also, it's very important that you actually network with everybody you see and talk for 5 minutes. You never know if a potential employer will get your attention, but you have a ton more chances if you take the proactive role and approach them first. In fact, I am waiting for all of you to approach me on LinkedIn and connect with me. So if anybody starts looking for a job, we can all share the posts for you to gain visibility across our networks. That's how it works. And regarding the bullet point of Wove, what really helped me was creating my personal brand. So I became aware of double checking the content I published was good. And that made me go the extra mile cross-referencing facts and learning a lot that way. It also helped me a lot to make myself surrounded by cybersecurity. You passively learn a lot from stories you read or listen to. And since I had my hands, feet, and eyes busy during the evenings, driving, delivering food, or whatever, I used my ears to keep learning in the meantime. The Darknet Diaries is a very nice podcast to get you started. And a Raspberry Pi is a marvelous, cheap companion for you to set up your own home lab. You learn a lot in the process, and the potential of it is endless. Virtual machines are an essential part of it learning, whether it's to analyze a piece of malware in a safe, disposable environment, or to try a new OS. It's very valuable experience. I tried so many Linux distributions myself that if it wasn't because of the virtualization software, I would have most likely broken my computer. And wrapping it up, I wanted to speak for a moment about imposter syndrome because this affects even more and more people without them even noticing. The most and foremost tip I will give is don't talk down yourself. I I'll be honest, I do it all the time. Even my line manager says to me, I should have more confidence and not being so hard on myself. It's very hard to not talking down on yourself, but try not to do it. Believe in yourself and advertise yourself. If you do so, you may overcome imposter syndrome. Asking questions, helping others, and embracing feedback you receive from either party, it really helps with the psychology of thinking that you don't belong. You know what I mean? Have fun, seriously. And I'm going to read the slide because it's bang on. Seriously, have fun. The very moment you start feeling burned out, stop what you're doing, go for a walk, or for a week, just stop. The computer is going to be there for whenever you're ready to come back. Go playing football or basketball, or go shopping, or spend time with your family, friends, whatever you like. And then if you are ready, come back. Don't try to push to the point that you hurt yourself, because it's counterproductive. And well, I hope you could learn something from this talk. Thank you for listening to me mumbling for so long. And please let me know if you have any questions. And if you don't want to make them public, you can always contact me and have a private chat. I would love to know about all of you. And also, to be consistent with what I said, learn from any feedback you may want to throw at me, positive or negative. I accept everything, really. In this slide, you can see my website. It links to the rest of my socials, and it features some blog posts and write-ups I told you about earlier. So you can get an idea of what I did and covered to become a junior pen tester. Thank you very much for having me. If there are any questions, I will gladly answer them. Okay, we have a question from Patrick. In November 2020, what level were your CTF skills in comparison to Hack the Box? Well, Patrick, I will say, trying not to talk down on myself here, I would be able to complete some easy boxes on Hack the Box, but they are different. I mean, back in 2020, I think Hack the Box challenges were nothing, Hack the Box Academy. I'm not completely sure of the timeline here, but I will purposely go and try to do some easy boxes, both Linux and Windows. And I felt that I was more ready to play CTFs in some areas like reverse engineering or say miscellaneous, playing up with Python, scapes or whatever, than being able to complete machines, if that helps you. Stuart, we have a question from him. He says, hi, Gabriel, my name's Stu Borthwick. Hi, Stu. I'm currently in Edinburgh College and I have a keen love for web app exploitation. Can I ask, will you say CTFs, war games, practical labs are more valuable to employers than the certs? Well, Stuart, I can tell you my story here. As you remember, I told you I don't have any degrees or certs, though they are very valuable indeed. You could go to a Port Swigger labs and complete all the labs and get the Burp Suite certification, or you could go for OSCP, or you could go for a CREST registered penetration tester. They are valuable, but in an ideal world, your employer during the interview will seek for your talent instead of your knowledge, if you know what I mean. They will go to find out if you have the soft skills enough for them to invest on you and put you up to the next level through them. Because there are a lot of talented people that are not going to study or are not going to even job interviews because of the imposter syndrome, and they are more than ready, but they don't know yet. So I would say they are valuable, both, but for sure, try and get some certifications if you like, and try to pay as many CTFs and war games and practical labs as you can. That's how I did it and made it work for me. I see a question in the chat. Mariusz, I have a question. Are you going to continue your studies? I don't know, Mariusz, because, cybersecurity is an ever-going field. And right now, this week, I'm studying to get cloud certifications. I'm studying to become a Azure practitioner. And this is studying, actually. What I don't know is whether I'm going to be going back to university, because university gets your foot on the door. It's not like automatically you're going to be from university to executive principal position. You will need still to be a junior and learn the basics. It's very valuable to have the degree, don't get me wrong. But in my case, with a family to maintain, and now that I have free evenings to spend with my son, I try to study everything in the morning and before job. And quite honestly, I'm not going to go back to conventional studying, if that was your question. Derin, I don't know if I pronounced it correct, I'm sorry about that. He asks, how important do you think branding yourself is? Well, I could tell you, if I have the suspicion, if I didn't have that website up, if I didn't share myself, advertise myself on LinkedIn, overcoming the imposter syndrome, people will probably never heard about me. And when you go to an interview with a person, that recruiter has already looked up to you, in internet. He or she has most likely Googled yourself. That's what I was doing when I was being a manager in hospitality and had nothing to do with cyber. Whenever I wanted to hire somebody, I will go first on internet, see what people, what kind of people they were, what kind of publications they made, what kind of friends did they have, not like judging, but looking at what that person might be able to do. And in cybersecurity, I think, and I strongly believe, actually branding myself was one of the stepping stones that separated me from all the other guys that were competing with me to get this position, at least in NCC Group and other positions that I was trying to reach for. Anybody else have any question? Oh, Mariusz, would you do something different in your way? Maybe do more practice instead of studying in a college? No. Categorically, no. Going to college really helped me understand some of the basic things that you need to nail. If it weren't because of my lecturers who helped me a lot with networking, and all of those of you who are in Edinburgh College, I'm speaking about Piotr and Jacek. If it wasn't because of them, I would most likely don't know how to pivot in an Active Directory lab, or I wouldn't know how to connect or scan a subnet. You really need to study at college and do practice in your free time. Tony, what tech are you most excited to learn about in the future? Full disclosure, I know Tony, and he knows I am kind of split in between going to cloud or going down the reverse engineering path and becoming a malware like threat hunter. And I think I will go the cloud route just for now, just to seek to see and learn what's in store. Maybe I like it, maybe I discover I love it, I don't know. And if I can start getting certifications to take out that bullet point, I have no certs, I will be happy with that. Mario says, in cybersecurity, do you need to learn more detail about networking as well? Oh yeah, of course, mate. That's all it's about. There wouldn't be hacking if it wasn't because of networking. Networking is the absolute pillar. It's the base. If your Nmap scan doesn't reach the host, you will never be able to actually get get to that machine that you need to pen test, you know? So you need to understand the basics like subnetting and really understand how IP addresses work. And yes, you need to learn in detail how networking works. Balgram, sorry, I don't know the pronunciation correctly again. Which basic knowledge do you think it's necessary to realistically start to look for an entry-level job or internship in cyber? Well, I would say Google. I know it sounds cheesy, right? But all it comes down to, in the end of the day, is being able to Google things up and learn on the way. I still think, and this is maybe my imposter syndrome talking, I think I don't know anything at all. I passed the junior exam at NCC Group, and I still think to myself, I don't know how I did it, because if you try to compare against other people, you will always lose. So I would say the basic knowledge you need is believing in yourself. If you try to find something in Google and you find it, you are good to start on this path. And to look for an entry-level job or internship, if you have what it takes to push and level up yourself, NCC believed in me. NCC Group just took me from the street. First year of uni, I will say I wasn't even prepared. And I think I mentioned in the interview that I was so sorry. I was just a first year student, and they didn't care about it. So if you think you are realistically like knowledgeable and confident to start applying for jobs, just do it, mate. I encourage you to do so, because in the worst case scenario is you will get feedback. And if you remember, feedback is all about the talking to each other. It's one of the more valuable lessons you will ever learn, because other people will see the bigger picture and say, listen, you can improve here. And after some interviews, you may land the job. You never do it. You never know it. Thanks, Emmanuel, for the inspiration, for your comment about the inspiration, man. That's all about I like, I want. Sorry, might be a stupid question from Marius. Which was the better salary, cybersecurity or digital forensics? I really don't know, because one of the things that I dislike from this industry is they never post the actual salary. That's something I wondered myself for quite some time, and I will say it's the same. I would love to think it's the same, but it really comes down to what you want to do instead of what salary will I have. It's going to be plus or less the same. It's very important for you to be happy in your job post. Patrick has another question. Since you left after HNC, did you only complete CCNA 1? Yes, I have only CCNA 1. And what I did was I kept on learning Cisco by myself. And not only Cisco, you learn about Palo Alto, you learn about all the things networking. And it's very rewarding to be able to, earlier, I was speaking with my wife and she said, oh, in this Zoom link, it says there is a phone number. It looks like a phone number. And I restrained myself from telling you, yes, and why is that? Because you dial and a TCP connection gets streaming. Obviously, I will bore her to hell, but it's very rewarding for you to know all these simple things that don't look like a big deal, but keep going on networking. I kept going on networking, and honestly, as Marius asked earlier, networking is all this is about. If anybody has any other question, I will gladly. Oh, thank you for the kind messages, guys. It means a lot to me. You too, Fernando. Thank you. I'm glad you find it helpful. Oh, look, Piotr is here. Hello, I wasn't talking about you. Don't make yourself. This guy is one of the reasons why I'm here today. Thank you, Stuart. Gracias. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up and get out of here. I need to work. Thank you all for coming, and keep doing what you're doing, and the world is yours. Just take it. Bye-bye.